Hey, what's up, everybody? Scott Spreitzer here. He's Indian Cowboy. We're DocSports.com's White Chocolate March 13th version for the next couple of days. We're going to talk about some games, college baskets, and the NBA as we inch a little bit closer to the big dance, which next time we're on next week, we will have big dance matchups, lines, all that good stuff. And we'll be talking about the opening round. But we got that coming up. We got some NBA we're going to talk about over the next couple of days. Cleveland Cavaliers going on Friday. Lakers playing on Thursday. What it means to not have LeBron around, all that good stuff. But before we get to all of that, of course, if you're not a member yet at DocSports.com, you click on the link below the video and you get yourself set up for a free $60 account. You can use those free $60 on any of our daily packages over at DocSports.com. Going to kick things off real quick here, I see, with this last 5 or 6 days in college baskets has not been good for me, and I keep losing by half a point on some of these games. NBA, love it. NHL, love it. Hope I don't jinx myself. And it all started on Saturday with a 7-star on BYU laying 11.5, up by 19 with about 2:30 to go in the game, up by 15 with about 50 seconds left, up by 12, and with, 3-4 seconds left, up by 12, laying 11.5. They commit a foul. Utah kid goes to the free throw line, makes a free throw. I lose by half a point. I had said to a couple of bettors, I'm like, boy, I hope this doesn't start something. So we followed that up with the 5-star on Arkansas on Wednesday. And they were laying 4.5 by the time people could grab it over at Docs. And they were up 20 in the second half. They won by 4. So we're looking to shake these bad breaks from the gambling gods in college. But NBA, 7-star winner on Wednesday with the Rockets. They tried their best to give it away, but they held on anyway. And NBA and NHL has been saving me, I see. I hope you've been doing better in college baskets. The last 5 days have been not too fun for me.
Well, I mean, my premiums have been a little sketchy, but my free plays have been crushing it. And that's kind of the thing. And it's it's funny. Normally I've won 12 or 14 March Madnesses. I don't count March Madness until the first game of March Madness, right? So I don't the conference tournaments. And it's just been like today I was on Kansas State and it was a loss. And my free play was on Rutgers or FIU. You know what I mean? And FIU still I think they covered as well. I forget. No, they didn't cover, but
I haven't seen the final yet. Yeah.
Yeah, but it was I had recently it was a whole bunch of free play winners that have been hitting, but not the premium selections. But I also think it sort of evens out. Obviously, my premiums hit at a better rate than free plays. They just do. So I'm excited about March Madness, 12-14 winning years. NBA, I think we're on a plus 4,500 run, and so looking forward to it.
Yeah, I tell people all the time, and we kind of talk here, and maybe we can teach a few things, but variance means so much, obviously. And, we kind of judge things on how we've done for a season or a month or 10 years or whatever. 5 days because of variance is a little bit short to try to judge how good or how bad a handicapper is. But yeah, people look that up, man, just sports betting variance, and you'll see the definition instead of me sitting here explaining it to you, because that's something you got to, put into the mix when it comes to your handicapping. I mean, Mississippi State was a great free play for me on Wednesday. Unfortunately, the guys who paid for the plays got Arkansas and didn't go too well. Anyway, enough of the whining and all that kind of stuff. We started last week talking some Major League Baseball wins totals. Mine was Cleveland under their wins totals. It was 82.5 last week. Got a couple this week, and at least one that I'm going to get to. But let me let you kick things off this week. I see with an MLB wins total you're looking at.
Yeah, I'm actually going to go with the under with the Arizona Diamondbacks.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So I like them under the win total here. Last year they had 89 wins, and this year they're slated at 85.5, and I think that is correct. I think they're going to go under the total. I think that given the other teams that they're facing, including the Dodgers, and I actually think I think the Padres have gotten a lot better. I think the Rockies have gotten better. I think the Giants have gotten better. So somebody's going to take it up the chin in this league. You know what I mean? And I think it's going to be the Diamondbacks. I'm not entirely sold on they won a ton of one-run ball games last year too. And I think that West has gotten significantly harder. And I think the Dodgers have gotten even better if that's humanly possible. And I think the Rockies are going to be surprisingly better. The Giants have gotten better with their coaching changes that they've made. And I think the odd personality is going to be these Diamondbacks, and I think they're going to struggle. And so I'm going to take the under on them. Did I lose you there?
Yeah, I'm back now. I just lost you there.
I got you. Yeah, but I'm going to take the under on the Diamondbacks.
No, I like it. I mean, listen, the Dodgers, I've been around for a long time, and the Dodgers have the best roster I've seen in my time of watching Major League Baseball this year. So if they could probably lose 3 or 4 players and still be, a team that's going to take that division and be the favorite to win the World Series. And look at the Yankees, all these injuries. I mean, you just got to avoid the injuries. The Yankees are a mess right now and losing Garrett Cole. But the game or the wins total that I'm looking at for tonight is the Chicago Cubs over-under is 85.5. They're 140, minus 140 to make the postseason, which means they need to top this wins total, land in the win column a few more times than this projection. You're going to have to be around 89 wins to get in. They signed Kyle Tucker for 2025. He's a rental. There's the chance that he could be gone if they're not in it later in the season before the trade deadline, but I think they're going to be in it. He'll be gone after the season. But 30-plus home runs last year, that's what he's going to bring to the Cubbies. And there's always the thought that he, again, might be trade material. But when I look at this team top to bottom, I think he's going to stick around for the season because I think they're going to be in the mix. They were middle of the pack last year in weighted runs created plus, and they need more pop at the plate, and Tucker brings it. He'll get his opportunities. The Cubs are actually 7th in walk to strikeout ratio on offense, so they'll get on base again. And as far as the starting pitching, you'd love to see that strikeout percentage go up. But the good news is that they don't walk a lot of batters. They brought in a couple of arms, Matthew Boyd, best addition, and the elimination of Kyle Hendricks, who the Angels picked up, is a plus for Chicago. Hendricks stunk it up last year. So, of course,
can the Angels get any worse? They get the worst players.
Oh, it's crazy. I grew up a Cardinal fan, so it does pain me to talk positive way about the Cubbies. But since I've been out here, I moved out to Vegas when I was in my late teens, and I kind of adopted the Angels as my team. I was a big Mike Scioscia fan, that kind of stuff. And I'm watching this team make so many mistakes in the front office. And then when they give their GM or VP, whatever, they give them a raise in the offseason. And I'm like, for what? So you got a situation where this organization has made a ton of money without winning baseball games. And they just are making dumb decision after dumb decision. But there you go. You got a guy who struggled last year who looks like he's done in Hendricks. Angels go out and sign him. It's just amazing. I see you're right. It's a weird organization at this point. As far as the Cubs, I like the pen. I think they'll go from 12th best ERA as far as the pen is concerned to top 10. 3 really good arms. Again, they underperformed last year and had that hole in the rotation with Hendricks. They were an 83-win team. I think they end up around 90 this year. So I played over 85.5, which is still a decent price, around $1.15 on that over. I think Milwaukee drops down. I think Cincinnati's got a real good shot to surprise maybe some and win that division, but I think the Cubbies will be right there till the very end. Pains me to say, and I won't get into it tonight, that the Cardinals are going to drop off again too. No more. This Cardinal way is no way. I grew up a Cardinal fan. There was the Cardinal way, not anymore. They're going to sneak it up again, I think, for this season. So Cubbies over, and of course you got the Diamondbacks under. Let's talk a little Thursday college basketball. That's what most people, I think, are tuning in for, some college hardwood action. We got Marquette and Xavier doing battle at Madison Square Garden in the Big East. Marquette laying a couple of points here. That total 144.5, I see both the total and the side have come down about 0.5 point over the last 10 hours. And I think in this situation, you're going to have a Marquette team that has got to play and get a win. I'm not saying they're going to win this game or I'm going to back them here, but this team was 12th in power ratings, Ken Palms, back at the end of January, just a little over a month ago. He's now got them around 26th. That's how much this team has fallen off over the past month of basketball. How do you see this game going with Xavier?
Well, I have a controversial take. I don't like the conference tournaments. I think they're sort of a waste of time. I think they take away from March Madness a little bit, I mean, if you're desperate to try to get in, I think they should offer something else for these 8 and 10 teams seeds to play. And then maybe a few of them can get in at the end. But you end up seeing, like, these are exciting matchups that you can wait to see in March Madness. Mm-hmm. But I guess they make a lot of money in ticket sales and whatnot. But Xavier won 59-57 last time. And the Marquette won 72-70 prior to that. Both those games went under 152 and 149. So now they've listed this game at 144.5. And I agree with you. Marquette really needs a win. And obviously they have revenge, losing by 2 points last time too.
Sure.
Lost to Connecticut by 6 on the road. They lost to St. John's in overtime at home. Those are not, capital offenses. That's
right.
And the team's only lost 3 straight, once this season. So, and you also have a coach in Shaka Smart that understands, they won 2 games in the tournament last year. So they actually do pretty well when it comes to, they had won the Big East tournament 2 seasons ago. So he's always done pretty well coaching this team up here. That St. John's loss was actually not that bad of a loss. Right. They played really well. They just fell short near the end. So I like Marquette here. They're still a top 25 defense. I like the fact they come out back-to-back losses. I like the fact that Xavier is one of the worst offensive rebounding teams in the country. Here's the other thing too. Xavier's won 7 in a row, and yet they find themselves as the underdog in this game. I think there's a reason why, and I'm going to back Marquette.
Yeah, I'm with you. And, one of the things I looked at, when these two teams met in the regular season, Marquette was a 10-point favorite at home. They were a 4-point favorite at Xavier. I understand why you have to make adjustments on point spreads, but 10 at home, 4 on the road at Xavier, and now they're 2 on a neutral court. That seems like an over-adjustment and an overreaction to me. So I'm with you here on Marquette. Las Vegas is obviously and always the host of the Mountain West Conference Tournament. I'm going to try to get down there hopefully tomorrow afternoon. Boise State is laying a point here to San Diego State. That total set in at 134.5. And it's all about, can Boise play better on the offensive end than they did in the 2 regular season meetings? That's the big question. San Diego State won both. They held the Broncos to 36% shooting overall. And how about this? Boise against San Diego State went 10 of 48 in 3-point shooting in those 2 games. My biggest problem with the Broncos overall, let's say macro, not necessarily micro about this game, but my biggest problem with Boise overall, they can't shoot the 3. They're around 300th in basketball, yet they shoot a bunch of 3s. I mean, come on, man. Go copy the best coaches in college basketball, and you'll see like a guy like Pitino who says, our caveat or our Achilles heel, we stink on ice at shooting 3-pointers. My kids aren't going to shoot a bunch of 3s. But it's good enough for Pitino. I don't understand some of these coaches, why they allow these kids to go out and fire up 3s when they can't make them. But that's Boise, and they're a good basketball team with a pretty good coach. 22 wins, I believe, on the season. Get over that 3-point shooting, and they got a chance. But I don't know that I can trust them. I see that they're going to, make the right decisions in this game.
Well, I'm going to back Boise State here because they have a coach whose name is Leon, and he's white. That's the reason I'm going to back him. No, I mean, I think it's pretty cool. I mean, Leon has always been a traditionally African-American name.
Sure.
That's funny. You must be a real redneck if your name is Leon and you're white. That's impressive. I like Boise State here. And the reason is because I understand they can't shoot 3s. They are top 30 in 2-point field goals. I like they lost to Colorado State. I like the fact they lost at home in their last game by 10 points. I like the fact they gave up 83 points in their last game. Boise State, to me, was impressive early this year. They did beat Clemson. They did beat St. Mary's, who's feisty. And that Colorado State loss at home is a bad loss because they gave up 32 points in the last 10 minutes of that game. Colorado State shot 63% from the field and 47% from three-point land. And plus, this team got rocked by San Diego State last time. They lost 64-47. That was a game where Boise State only scored 18 points in the first half. They shot 3 for 18 from three-point land. And I think as they come off a loss and as they have huge revenge, I think they're going to be pissed off. They face a San Diego team who's obviously not a bad team, but San Diego State's have been a little sketchy this year versus in the past. They lost to UNLV twice this year. This is a team that has lost 8 times. They lost to Colorado State. They lost to, they've had they're one of the worst free throw shooting teams in the country. And, they're not great in 3-point. I mean, they have a great defense, but, they're still a pretty young team. I'm going to take Boise State here.
What are your thoughts on the NBA on the matchup between the Lakers and Bucks on Thursday? Current line, we're talking about this at about 11 o'clock Eastern time on Wednesday night. Current line's about 5.5 Milwaukee. The total sitting at 225. We talked about the Lakers a few weeks ago when Luka came on board. My biggest worry was when the schedule starts to get tough. They don't have a rim protector. And now they're without LeBron. He's going to be out for a while. And Hachimura's not playing. He's out. And, that's your big inside. It's Luka and what's left of the Lakers right now until LeBron returns. And again, Hachimura also. But we saw this team going through a relatively soft schedule when Luka first arrived. And, they kicked butt. They took care of business. That first game against an elite team, they go on the road. And really Boston controlled, I'm going to say 21 out of 24 minutes of that second half. There was about a 3 or 4 minute stretch there where the Lakers went from like 18 down to like 5 down, whatever it was. And then Boston pulled away at the end. But here they go. They're on the road against another good basketball team. Giannis and Lillard both expected to play in this one. So you got a banged up Luka. You've got no LeBron. You've got no Hachimura. However, sometimes that's where teams pick it up as far as the slack by everybody else. Your thoughts on this one?
Well, these two teams both come off a pair of losses, right? The Lakers have lost a series of games. The Bucks have lost 3 in a row. The Lakers come off back-to-back losses to both Boston and Brooklyn. They haven't won on this road trip at all. And then you have Milwaukee coming off losses to Orlando, Cleveland, and Indiana as well. But then the Lakers beat them in overtime. The Lakers swept them last year in those 2 games. So I think when you put that together, I think that, this kind of makes sense for Milwaukee to do well. I think the public will still take the Lakers. I do. I think they'll back because they're fools at times. They're going to see the Lakers and their success of late, but I don't think they're going to keep up. I don't think even the general public who's betting the Lakers doesn't know that Hachimura is out. Right. They know that LeBron's out, but they're still like, well, Luka can carry him plus the 5.5. I'll still take the Lake Show. I think the Bucks, given that they didn't beat them at all last year, I think the Bucks are super pissed from their recent loss to the Pacers by 1 point. I was on the Pacers in that game. They took Halliburton's, that crazy shot by Halliburton. I like the fact the Pacers lost to Cleveland at home in their last game. And prior to that, they'd been playing really well. They beat Miami and covered, and Denver and covered, and Dallas and covered at home. So I'm going to bet the Bucks here.
Yeah, I can't argue with you on that. I'm looking at my phone here because we want to talk about, you spoke about the Cavaliers there and want to talk about them. They're playing at Memphis on Friday, and I was just checking my score app to see if Memphis got the win over Utah, which they did. It was a 1-point game. About 2 minutes to go. They won by 7 on Wednesday night. So it'll be the Cavaliers at the Grizzlies. The Cavaliers have been off since Tuesday, which obviously helps because Donovan Mitchell is a bit banged up, listed as questionable for this game, even though it's still about 40 hours away. It took everything from him, 33 points, 50% three-point percentage in the last game against Memphis. And that was everything he did to help the Cavs beat Memphis by 6 about 3 weeks ago. The issue for Memphis is that they're banged up too. Jaren Jackson is nursing that ankle injury. He's supposed to miss the game again on Friday. Jackson was the near equivalent of Mitchell for Memphis in that 6-point game. I don't believe they can handle the Cavaliers without Jaren Jackson being part of it for the Memphis Grizzlies. And they bothered me a little bit this year. I know they've got a nice record. I know if you look at some of their metrics, they're pretty decent, top 10 in offense and defense, all that kind of stuff, and efficiency. I have a hard time going against Cleveland as long as Mitchell's healthy, though, I see.
So my lead on this game is if Mitchell is out, I love Cleveland.
Oh, yeah. They'll pick it up.
Yeah, because they're 10 deep, and they're the opposite of the Lakers, right? They're actually better when guys go out because all these other guys are super hungry, and Atkinson is a great coach, and they're actually better that way. So the way I look at this is if Mitchell is out, I'm going to back the Cavs. If Mitchell is not out, I'm going to back the Grizzlies, meaning if he plays. Just because I thought the Grizzlies played pretty well in their last game against Utah. I know they didn't cover. But if you take a look at that game, they had about, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 guys score at least 5 points, and they had about 13 guys in the box score, which I thought was pretty decent. They'll be at home. They'll be rocking there in Memphis. Even in their game against Phoenix recently too, they had, if you take away, Jackson didn't play in that game either. They had 3. Stevens and Pippen Jr. both had 13 points apiece. So 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, that 8 guys who scored at least 13 points apiece. So yeah, it's all based on Mitchell. Mitchell plays.
The line, we'll get a real nice line if Mitchell's not playing.
Yeah, If Mitchell plays, I'm not going to back him. If Mitchell doesn't play, I'm going to back the Cavs.
All right, sounds good. And listen, you can find us not only at DocSports.com, but at those X/Twitter accounts, whatever you want to call it. Scott Wins, IC's and Indian Cowboy Picks. And any closing thoughts for the upcoming week before we call it a night?
No, man. No. I'm looking forward to March Madness. I think it'll be a lot of fun. I think this will be the conference. I think this will be about the SEC, which is funny because the football wasn't. So now the SEC gets to troll people in basketball, which I think is funny. So I think this will be, I think Auburn and Alabama actually will make or break. I mean, and Kentucky maybe if they make a run. But I think they're going to make it. I think the ACC is in a little bit of trouble. This is the worst.
Yeah.
This is the worst, year they've had in college basketball in a long time. Duke is one of their saving graces, but they're in a little bit of trouble. So that should be interesting. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, North Carolina had a real nice game on Wednesday, but I don't see that happening when they move up, against a couple of the teams at the top of the conference. But it is a top-heavy conference, no doubt about it. By the way, real quick before we call it a night, I agree with something you said at the top of the show. So we're both going to be a little controversial here. I don't like the conference tournaments. I mean, I do as a fan. It's exciting. I get business, and so I understand why they do happen. There's a lot of money to be made by these universities, by their conferences. But it just really ticks me off when you look at a small conference and you see a team that won 25 games or 22 games during the course of the season, won the regular season championship, and then doesn't get to play in the big dance because some team that was 500 pulls the upset somewhere along the line of the conference tournament. That's always bothered me. So it's one of those situations from a business standpoint, I get it. But as far as fairness and just being a fan of the best college basketball teams making the tournament from each conference, it does bother me. So just wanted to throw that out there. We're in agreement there.
I mean, honestly, just cut the conference tournament and have more non-conference matchups to make money.
Yeah, and line up some great teams against great teams.
Yeah.
You see Michigan State taking on great teams in the non-conference portion of the schedule, and boy, you're going to make up some money. Put some more tournaments together, not just the Maui Classic, or get some top 20 teams, 8 teams, match them up, start of the season.
Man, these two teams have already played each other twice.
Right.
We're going to make them play each other again for some conference tournament nonsense. And I say you take those 3 games and you hook up. I mean, yeah, what do you do with the Fairfields of the world? But the Fairfields can go make some money somewhere. Mm-hmm. Put these non-conference games together. And, when even something like Georgia Tech versus, let's say, Georgia Tech versus, let's say, Ohio State.
Sure.
Right? Anything, any sort of combinations, it can make money. I just don't see the value. I know the ACC prides itself on the, in conference tournament stuff, but I'm not really in it.
That preseason NIT that they used to have, they had it for a few years, I thought was really good because you would get top-notch teams matched up against each other as the season was beginning. So anyway, all right, well, we're going to settle more world problems on next week's show, I see in myself. But for now, everybody, best of luck over the next few days until we see you next week. It'll be probably Wednesday night again on, March 19th. For IC, I'm Scott Spreitzer. You know what to do, everybody. Let's put him in the win column.